Hi everyone, this is Gavin from Gavin's Gadgets. Hope you guys are keeping well. Anyone new, hi, it's good to see you. Everyone that's part of my channel, thanks very much for watching again. So in this video, just can keep it quite straightforward. Going to be a video of two sections, two halves. First one is my top phones of 2019, running down and ending up in first place. And number one will be a little bit of a surprise. And then I'm going to show you what is on my actual phone and why, and run through some of the specific apps and how I set the phone up. So, no further ado, my top 5, here we go. So in number 5, in 5th place, I'm going to put the Pixel 3a. So I'm going to ignore the Pixel 4 and the 4XL, the 3XL, and just go for the cheaper, smaller Pixel 3a. And the reason I picked that is that you get the Google experience plus the Pixel camera in a very cost-effective price. So for me, that's number 5. In number 4, I'm going to opt for the OnePlus 70 Pro, and that's just a really nice phone. It's very fluid. It's got that lovely display at 90 Hertz, so it's very smooth. The camera is its weakest point, but if you port the Gcam camera port, that does improve it quite a bit. And I do think you get a lot of phone for your money. So that is number 4. Number 3 will come as no surprise to a lot of people, but I'm going to put the Huawei P30 Pro as my number 3. Why this as number 3? I've taken thousands and thousands of photos, done lots of videos with this, used this quite a lot in some of my video reviews. Some of you may not even realise I was using this to record a number of videos. I will tell you actually what I'm using to record this, my setup, as part of what's on my phone, because you're going to be quite surprised what's actually doing the recording here. Why I liked this particular phone, the optical zoom, the 5 times optical zoom and 10 times sort of lossless, but in particular that 5 times did allow you as a tourist, or when you were sightseeing or visiting certain places, you could just go in that bit further. And as an example, I went to Dartmoor Zoo, and you know, you can't go up and stroke the tigers and say, can you just sit 1 foot in front of me while I take a little portrait shot of you? No, they're behind cages or in an enclosure and a little bit further back, quite far back, and I got pictures of bears, tigers and whatnot, and I'll show you a couple as we're talking so you can see. But it just meant, whilst probably not the highest quality compared to a full high quality big camera with proper zoom, I could never have got anything like those shots with anything else. So it works extremely well. I like the fact it's got the IR blaster for controlling a TV. I also think the other camera and all the modes work really well. I was in Berlin, there was like a waterfall effect through the rocks, and one of the updates that occurred since I got this was that you could do the light painting, but you could use the sort of waterfall mode, silky water, and you could hold it by hand and it will do the water coming down and blur and have that silky water effect with not even a tripod, and that's absolutely incredible. But it is the diversity of the camera, all the things that you can do, and finally its battery life. It's just incredible. And when I use the trains or travel, it can hold signal like none of the other phones I've got, and yeah, a very solid number 3. So what is number 2 and what is number 1? Well, I think you might be surprised because I'm going to put the iPhone 11 Pro Max as number 1, and I've used this phone for quite some time, you can see, and this is a astonishing piece of kit. It's chunky, it's heavy, it's the first iPhone where you will never have battery anxiety. It's got a beautiful screen, everything works very well. It's an iPhone, but Apple just made this heavier. That's actually probably something to bear in mind, it is quite heavy, and when you put the leather case on it, which is here, the combined weight of that is 251 grams. That is quite heavy. So if the iPhone 11 Pro Max is at number 2, what on earth have I picked as number 1? Are you ready for this? So number 1 in first place, just taking the case off. Number 1 goes to, the standard, the smaller, the iPhone 11 Pro. And why have I picked the 11 Pro as number 1? Well, let's put the case back on so I don't drop it, because these things are quite slippery. As good as the Pro Max is, and it's exceptional, this is equally as good. It's got everything this has, except it has a smaller battery because it's a smaller frame, but this is much lighter. So if I put this in my pocket, it's nicely concealed. If I put the Pro Max in, it's starting to stick out, and that, if you lean forward, you might get into a position where you get some accidents and so forth. I've just had my little dog Tiggy pop in here, say hello, but you can't see her because she's down here. But this is just, if you want a phone as a phone, this is literally sort of one of the best sort of things to have, where it fits nicely in all pockets, it's not too heavy, and it has all the apps on, everything works really well. And then if you're going to use an iPad, which has a bigger screen, why go for something as big as this when you can have something as small as that? And it's one of the few phones on the market which is ultra powerful and with all the lenses and all the versatility. So this is number 1. However, as everyone knows, there is just a side mention. There is another iPhone that we know about, and that is the standard iPhone 11. And this video is actually being recorded on the iPhone 11 with a Shure mic connected to it. And I'm using the front camera. It's at 4K 24 frames per second. I don't use 60 in a situation like this, just 24 frames per second, that's plenty. It lets more light in. But with all these iPhones and the iPad, I can move stuff with AirDrop really fast, do the editing on the iPad really fast, and everything works extremely well. So now what I'm going to show you, we're going to drop down to close-up view, and I'm going to show you what's on my iPhone and why. Let's go for this. So looking at what's on my iPhone and why, the first thing I want to highlight is the positioning of the grid. Now you see that when I hold this phone and use it in my right hand, I'm actually left-handed, but I do keep everything that I use on a regular basis that I can reach folder-wise in that particular hand. And also when I'm opening up various apps, what I also look at is what's the one that I need to access, so I keep the most frequently used lower down. So the one I use the least is the Messenger app, and there are others here, but I'm going to just run through why and what we've got. So if I open up the first folder, this is the games folder, and these are games that I have bought and really enjoy. Now Scrabble has a lot of good features. I do like playing that game, but only on iOS. The Android equivalent is a pig feast with it's littered with adverts, all sorts of things that ruin the gameplay. For some reason they don't have that so much. It's a lot better, it's much better experience on iOS. Solitaire, Need for Speed Most Wanted, the original Ocean Horn, I'll say why that's important in a minute, and Mahjong, which is up there, and just some other quick games. So these ones that you can literally pick up and play quite easily when you've got a few minutes. Now I've separated the Apple Arcade games out, so should I stop subscribing to this, which I doubt I will, but it means I know exactly which ones I'm going to lose and which gameplay and saved gameplays will go once I stop subscribing. Some highlights of these for me: Grindstone, absolutely epic game, really good, really enjoy that. Same with Pinball Wizard, it's a fantastic, my top 2 there. Getting used to playing Jumper John, it's not too bad. And you can see some other ones. Ocean Horn 2, I'm stuck at a certain point at the moment, but again that's really good. And you can see some of the other games that I have here under the arcade. I think it's one of the best things that Apple have done. It is expensive, it's £5 a month, which is £60 a year. and you don't own the games, you're renting them, and obviously you lose everything should you stop paying for that. I do have my contacts and calendar up there. In utilities, I have the, as you'd expect, voice memos, authenticator apps, Titan key security there for the smart lock, files, some ad blockers, speed tests. To be honest, I use the ad blockers only on a couple of sites that just go overkill with adverts. I don't mind the adverts as long as they're not too heavy-handed. Occasionally I use Apple Maps, so I keep it out there. But if I go into the GPS weather app, I have got Google Maps. So here I've got the National Rail for travelling for time trains, the London Underground map, Met Office for weather, and Atatmo, that's my weather station. National Trust, I'm a member of the National Trust, so I visit a number of their historic houses. And View Ranger, so this is for walking off the grid on Dartmoor National Park. That's really good, and some other travel and translate type apps under the GPS and weather side of things. Very quickly, so the Google Opinion Rewards, that actually is on iOS as well, and you've got obviously the App Store for the apps, Apple Shopping, various other sort of shopping related apps sit there as well. So very straightforward. Activity, that's for the Apple Watch, and that's nothing very exciting. Here, productivity, so this is like office stuff, and so you've got your usual keep, docs, numbers, pages, that sort of stuff, very straightforward. On the entertainment side, you can see you've got Netflix, which I love. Now TV, occasionally I subscribe to the entertainment, and there's a particular sort of show that's really good, so I keep that on there. Use the BBC iPlayer, and to listen to the BBC Radio, use the Sounds app. And Prime, I used to pay for Amazon Prime, I don't anymore, but I do and have bought a number of videos, so I need the app on there. Apple TV, obviously you've got that, and a few other sort of entertainment type apps on there. Out of all of them, I probably use Netflix the most, and then BBC iPlayer, then Apple TV, which is why they're nearest that side, so I can reach them a lot faster. YouTube, very self-explanatory, it's YouTube. Pocket Casts for my podcasts, might as well just show you what ones I've got that I'm subscribed to. Some are quite specific, and some are just different and interesting, so that's what I have. I don't get a lot of time to listen to these, so I've only got a small handful there. I'm sure some of you've got huge collections. Then on the devices, so what I have is very straightforward. I've got the Garmin for my scales, electronic scales that use to connect via the internet. Lumines is for a light, so if I just grab it, it's behind me. So this is the Lumines light, but it also has Bluetooth, and you can control it with its own app, as you can see there. Obviously the Apple Home, the DJI, that's for the Osmo Mobile 3 gimbal, which I use, security, which is an Atatmo security, Philips Hue. So in this room I'm recording in, I have all the lights controlled via Philips Hue, so I can set the white balance and the brightness and everything to do this particularly well. That's a command, the watch, that's for remote, and these are the Shure mic apps that I'm using to record at the moment, and that's for headphones, the Jabra headphones app. On the photo editing side, so when I want to make a thumbnail for a video, I keep it simple. Sometimes I'll take a photo of what I'm trying to make and use for a thumbnail. Other times I'll play the video back and have a look at the frames and just grab an 8 megapixel frame. Because it's 4K, the photo quality is 8 megapixels, so I often do that. Then looking at LumaFusion, that sits on here, and also on my iPad, that's the video editing app, and I use that along with iMovie. I use iMovie for specific stuff, more so for doing the photo, for doing a camera test, and I want to put a sort of camera sort of showcase somewhere in it. I use iMovie to do that quicker for me, Spark Post to finish off the thumbnails and make them look as best I can. It's quick and easy. For editing, Snapseed, Google Photos, I don't use that as much now. Filmic Pro is absolutely a must and a great app for professional video. Adobe Lightroom is the best photo editing app, and the Filmic Remote. So what that means is you can have one iOS device using Filmic Pro to do the video recording, and you can then use another iOS device, so it could be your iPhone or iPad, to be the bit where it has all the controls of the screen, and you use that device to actually control everything. And you're making all the adjustments, and that's very clever. That's a cross-device file transfer app, and some fancy other sort of secondary sort of apps that I will use for some unusual sort of effects. I use Nightcap at most out of all these. These I've just got because I like trying them from time to time, but Nightcap for sort of nights exposures, it's very good. Pro camera, and again Color Splash takes away all the colour and adds in just the particular shades of colour that you want. Photo Scan for scanning old photos in, it works quite well. Now I'm trying out the Halide photo app at the moment, camera app, but Spectra before this got all the awards, winning the sort of Apple Best App of 2019. I suggest you go and check this out. This app is just awesome. You can do all that silky water, no problem at all. Lots of effects, some of them handheld. This Feedly is for RSS news feeds, and down here is just very straightforward. Stocks, banking apps, YouTube Studio, Google News, Apple News, and some other sort of bits and pieces there. And then you just got under comms just your social side and social apps. So all in all, that's what I have on the phone. So if you've got any questions about a specific app and want to know how I use it and a bit more about that, or you want perhaps a deep dive in on a particular app, maybe Adobe Lightroom Mobile or something, then give us a shout and I'll show you how I do that photo editing.